Hello, welcome. It's June 25th, 2026. The year is about half gone, and in a few days we'll be at June 30th, and we'll be talking July and going through the second half of the year. Welcome to the Volcano Shelton show. I'm Volcano Shelton here with you this Thursday, June 25th, 2026. I'd like to welcome all of you wherever you are. Please help me. Let's share the podcast here this evening. It's going to be a good conversation. Last Tuesday, I was here in the issues room and I did talk about the formation of an alternative political party in the diaspora that could neutralize the UP and the CDC, because it seems as though this is what we have politically and this is what we'll have to deal with for a long time. But I just want to say quickly happy birthday to my good friend and brother Moses Sandy. Moses celebrates his birthday today. Also, he's bereaved, and so he's in a very neutral state, not too celebratory and not too mournful. So he's just in a neutral state. So I just say congratulations to you, Moses, on your natal day, and also my condolence to you for your loss. And I also want to remember my cousin and brother who passed in 2021. This is his birthday today. So Oliver, the Reverend Oliver Gibson, my younger brother and cousin and everything, he passed suddenly at a young tender age of, I believe, 52, 53 in 2021. And peace be to his ashes. He will have celebrated his birthday today. So celebrate your birthday in the heavens, my brother. God be with you, and until we see again. But welcome and help me. Let's share the show. I will appreciate your help here tonight. As usual, it's kind of difficult to come here and try to do this at the same time, and podcasting. Sometimes it's so difficult to do it, simultaneously. But I say welcome, welcome, welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining me. Tonight our conversation, is about whether there should be the formation of the diaspora party before 2029 to at least play a part in the political dispensation in Liberia. Because lately I've been hearing the loud noise. Rescue Liberia. The opposition needs to rescue Liberia from the rescue mission. What opposition? Is it the same CDC that we just ousted out of power? When I say we, meaning the Liberian people ousted out of power as a result of failed governance? What opposition to rescue Liberia? Is it the conglomeration of the ANC, CDC, LPP, RCOP, whatever you want to call it, CMC? Is the Musa ability of the CMC that is going to rescue Liberia? Who's going to rescue Liberia? Because every time these people come, we hear the same thing. So I think it's about time that we in the diaspora need to come together and see if we can do something that will neutralize CDC and UP. Cut a wedge to bring someone with the credibility to power. Diaspora Liberians could certainly form a political party to compete in 2029, but whether they should depends on their goals, their organization, and ability to connect with voters inside Liberia. That's the conundrum. If a diaspora political party emerges out of America or out of the diaspora, let me not use the word America, but out of the diaspora, a conglomeration of like minds, smart people, intelligent people, well-off people, learned people, people who understand governance, who have the responsibility, the attributes of leadership, can come together in an accord The research says that the conundrum here is how are Liberians, who are in the voting population going to, embrace them. Because the argument here is that fresh ideas and expertise will emerge as a result of a diaspora political party. Many diaspora Liberians have experiences in business, in public administration, in technology, in healthcare, and education. And this is from countries all over the world. This diaspora party might bring new approaches to governance, to economic development, and to anti-corruption efforts. Because many diaspora Liberians have done well with themselves. Now, don't get me wrong. There are those who didn't do well. They get what the Liberian men call degrees, and they run and support a political institution or party in Liberia, and the next thing, they're now absorbed in the system and they spoil the name of diaspora Liberians. There are some bad ones that go to Liberia and fail miserably, and then they come back here to hustle. They go to Liberia to hustle, then they come back to America to hustle. So I'm not talking about those Liberians who are hustlers between the diaspora and the country. Alternative to establish a party, some Liberians are dissatisfied with the traditional political class. Yes. Since 2005, we have to deal with two political institutions where there's a G and Hall, or a G no Hall, however you want to put it. We have to deal with two political parties that have robbed us of 24 years. 24 years. Almost. So there's a need for a new political party to welcome a new movement that focuses on policy rather than personalities. You can't be talking about Weah is the most famous man in Liberia because he played football. Ain't there other famous people who are academically sound, who've made tremendous strides in other arenas? There are many other Liberians, many other Liberians who are business tycoons, who have developed themselves into shrine, image, respectable image. I can name one, Richelieu Dennis, a serious millionaire who made his money honestly. We have doctors, we have educators. So for us to just continue to say that Weah is the most famous man, that is why we have to deal with personality when it comes to our electoral process. We should be dealing with policy. We should be dealing with important things within the realm of what we're talking about, the economy, healthcare, those things. You ask Weah to explain those things, he cannot. 6 years he couldn't understand what he was doing. He couldn't even explain it. So I'm just giving you an example that we continue to just put ourselves down and say, oh, Weah is the most popular man in the country. Granted, to some degree. The alternative will also establish a diaspora-led party that could challenge the entrenched political networks. Because there is a political network in Liberia, and until this political network is shaken by another force, we're going to have the same thing repeatedly. So the loud noise about we're going to rescue, now the noise becoming so palpable, vibrating, loud. Some of them use the word clarion call to move the rescue mission. We're coming to rescue. We got to deal with this again in 2029. So the call for formulating a diaspora party, financial and professional resources. The diaspora contributes significantly to Liberia through remittances and investments. Those resources could help build a serious political organization and support credible candidates. We have the resources, we have the finance, we have the experience in leadership, We have so many things to our advantage. That is why we need to begin to think about it. Now, I understand that everyone has a political viewpoint, but if Liberia is the only reason for all of this, and we mean well for our country, then we should pursue this route. Then we should take this route. Because for so long, all of the people who want to come to power, what do? They come to the diaspora. They come to solicit our support. They come to ask us for money. They come to ask us to help them, to connect them. And what happens? They go back to Liberia, to win the presidency, then we become outsiders. So if we can do it for them, why can't we do it for ourselves? Because diaspora Liberians will be able to come to power and change some of the laws that make them, to continue to repeatedly do the same things they're doing. We could be able to change some of the laws to prevent, the stagnation of dual citizenship. They've already claimed to pass it, but it's yet not passed in the way that the world should know it. Many foreign missions have not gotten any communication or correspondence that says, yes, Liberia is a dual citizenship country. You go to the airport, the people are asking you whether you have visa if you show an American passport. And you are a Liberian. And they see in your passport, native Liberian. Because it says place of birth. Even as an American, naturalized, whatever it is, it shows in your passport, place of birth, Liberia. And so how then you going to ask me for visa when we claim to have dual citizenship? So nothing is fair here. Nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense. So we'll be able to what? Do stronger engagement of the overseas Liberians. We'll be able to move our people. A party could advocate for issues important to the diaspora, like I talked about, dual citizenship. The implementation of it to the fullest. Investment opportunities and overseas voting rights. We can make that happen. That we don't have to depend on the Zogos to vote for the country. Because the Zogos voting for the country are not voting for the country for the right reasons. They're voting for the country because they wear t-shirts. They're voting for the country because they give them $10 to stand in the line. They're voting for the country because they give them few cups of rice. So we need to have diaspora voting, so that voting can be at an informed perspective, rather than just have people who are illiterate to understanding of the economy, illiterate to the things that they want for themselves and their children and the country itself. Tell me. So we can't continue to play around. But now, the argument here is that if we form a diaspora party, these are some of the things that are going to make it difficult. The risks of being seen as disconnected. What do they say all the time? Those of us in the diaspora, we know nothing about Liberia. Pray tell me, how the heck you going to say that we know nothing about Liberia when we're talking Liberia every day? We're addressing the things out of Liberia every day. The world is a global community, technologically driven by social media. We can pick up on anything that is trending in the moment and in time. Matter of fact, we get to know so many things outside of being outside of Liberia than those on the internal of Liberia, because we have the resources. I don't turn my data off. I have my phone on 24/7, all of my data intact, compared to people who are mixing on their data and saving data and doing stuff. So there's an advantage here when it comes to real-time news. But they're going to argue that where these people coming from, they do not understand, the daily realities of unemployment, of poor infrastructure, of rising, living costs in Liberia. Opponent could portray them as outsiders attempting to govern from privilege. Of course, we understand those very facts. But are they factual? Can you tell me I don't understand the cost of living in Liberia? How far is the cost of living in Liberia compared to the cost of living in the U.S. or any other nation? We have a global a war, two global wars. The war between Russia and Ukraine is devastation on the economy, global economy. Now we have the U.S., Israel, and Iran war, including Lebanon. So we know what's happening in Liberia. We know the rates, meaning the banknote rates. We know what a bag of rice cost. We know, how much is a gallon of gasoline. We know those things. So being the diaspora does not recuse us or put us away from the reality in the country. Then they're going to say it's difficult to do. Building a successful political party requires grassroots structures in all counties, not just support from Liberians abroad. But how many Liberians are not doing projects in Liberia from the diaspora? Building community schools, building hand pumps, building wells, building latrines. So if we can come together, can we not build political structures in the different counties to propagate the message of change and real change in real time? We can do that. Elections are won through local organizing, community engagement, and trusted relationships. Yes, those things can be done. Many Liberians in the diaspora go home every day. Go home every day. They're involved. They have families. They have businesses. They have churches that they support, that they're part of. Community engagement. So these things are possible. The diaspora is not politically unified. Granted, even the politicians in Liberia are not unified. So there's no win situation here. So diaspora Liberians hold diverse political views and come from different regional, ethnic, and ideological backgrounds. That is why the argument is that it's not possible to organize a diaspora party. Creating a united party could prove challenging. But even the people in the country who have political parties, all day they're fighting amongst themselves. They're crossing carpet, jumping here and there. Right now they all sound like they're in one accord with one voice and arguing to remove the Barker administration because the country is so hard. You painting a picture where the people can see for themselves, and you painting this picture to make it seem so bad, right? You painted the picture to make it seem so bad, but the people can see for themselves, and that's the argument, right? So it's hard. Existing parties may already, provide a platform. So rather than creating a new party, diaspora leaders could influence existing parties by joining them and pushing for reform from within. But that's going to be difficult because the same people are going to come back and say, oh, you won't come from America to take our thing. They're going to say that. They say that when they see Liberians go to Liberia, when you fan around the ministry small, they say, oh, the man coming for a job. So for us to gain back our rights and privileges in the country, we need to galvanize our resources and go back and fight for what is ours as well. Because the truth is, no Liberian is more Liberian than another Liberian. That's plain simple. But that's the fight. The research says instead of immediately launching a national party, diaspora Liberians might first want to build policy institutions and civic organizations. We do that. We have diaspora organizations here. For instance, the Association of Liberian Journalists in America that propagate for freedom of speech, freedom of the press, justice, reform, good governance. We speak when it's necessary to speak. There are many Liberian organizations here, ULA, LAP, the Liberian organization in Atlanta, in Minnesota, all over the place, all in Europe and in Australia. So we have these civic organizations. We build policy institutions and these civic organizations. We support local candidates with reforms agendas. We've done that. We develop county level networks. Again, as I said, many of the folks who want to come to power, they come here to raise money. So we are connected. In some instances, we give them some of the things that we want change. But the disservice here is that when they become head in those places, like for instance, the Senate, the representative, the president, they turn their backs. We promote issue-based campaigns focused on governance, education, healthcare, and economic growth. We talk about these things when these very candidates come to town hall and try to engage us and solicit rather fundings and support. If these efforts gain public trust, a political party could emerge naturally from that movement. But yes, these things are being done. So the key question here is, the real issue is not whether a party is formed by diaspora Liberians, but whether it can convince voters that it represents all Liberians, not just Liberians living abroad. Any successful 2029 movement will need strong roots in communities across Liberia and a clear path for improving the people's lives. We do that every day. We commit resources to that country. We help. We provide support. Many of the folks here, they pay tuition. Family members can't sleep at night. They're being disturbed by all of the difficulties and the challenges. They have to dig deep to some degree, expand themselves beyond their elasticity. So a lot of things happen. So we're still connected. We're still connected. But if this should take place, then what should a potential diaspora party do to have a positive chance in 2029? What should we do if we decide to establish a diaspora party that can cut between this whole UP and CDC conundrum? Become a Liberian party and not a diaspora party. Of course, the party is a Liberian party with formulation and support converging from the diaspora. The biggest risk is being perceived as a group of overseas Liberians trying to tell residents what to do. That's what the argument is. But no. Your local people are not doing what they're supposed to do. Wouldn't it make sense to have an alternative? Am I different from the Liberian that is on the ground, that running the country in the mud? Maybe my perspectives and the way I would approach things would be different. Don't we have a family and relatives and friends on the grounds who know us? Isn't the word a close-knit community now? You can research Volcano, Shelton. You'll find some stuff. Whether I'm a corrupt guy, whether I've stolen people's money, whether I've done things, you can research many other Liberians out here who are doing very well. It's public records. So yes, this dream is not going to be about diaspora Liberians. It's about the country. It's about the country. A successful movement will need county leadership chosen locally. Of course. That has to happen. That has to happen. Strong representation from the youth, young women, and rural communities. Yes, no political institution survives in Liberia, even the local ones, without having contact across the country. That is why certain presidential aspirants don't do anything. They get 1.something% of the vote because they've not been able to traverse the country and make the case. Some people rely on popularity, like in the case of Wea. Puaka relied on 40 years experience. Cummings is relying on corporate experience. Musa Belite, he's relying on small projects, building and Keke breach. You say that breach. So what we're talking about here? So even a diaspora political party still has an advantage. Resources will be there to establish local counties in a structure and put local leaders there to crusade the message. Strong representation from youth, yes. Offices throughout the country, not just Monrovia, of course. Leaders who spend substantial time in Liberia, of course. Many of us go to Liberia 2-3 times a year. There are diasporans who are in Liberia for 6 months at a time. So people meaning to do this come together. There would be a layer of platform that will guide this process. But we're just tired having to do or deal with these two political institutions and getting nowhere. The party's message should be Liberians everywhere working together, not diaspora versus home-based Liberians, of course. That's what it's going to be about, the country. The country. Liberia political system rewards parties that have functioning organizations nationwide. And that's what that diaspora party will be doing. Reaching out to every sector of the country. We have so much to give to the country. Hospital supplies, school supplies. So long we put our resources together, we can shut down CDC and we can shut down Unity Party. Because it's not giving anything to the people but popularity and 40 years of experience. Is that the platform message? We're talking about tangible. Diaspora Liberians have resources to put in Liberia, different sectors of the country. Focus on issues the people are faced daily. Yes, that would be some of the things that we'll consider. Jobs and economic opportunity, agriculture, roads and transportation, electricity. We're not saying that some of these things were not tampered with, meaning to address. But what's the skill? What's the skill? So this is a message. This is a message that I'm propagating, that we need to come together, because we can't continue to sit by and become strangers. You go back to Liberia, they take you to be stranger, they call you December. They call you this, they call you that. But you're contributing immensely. And then they take the country and give it to all kinds of people who make a mess. But then they call you and you can't sleep every night. They're all in your inbox. So we got to be a part of 2029. I hope that many of you in the diaspora are contemplating this. This is not... Look, to do this, it doesn't require selfish ego nature. It requires minds that think alike, that will put focus to this, put aside personal differences, have a wooden Liberian map in your hand and the flag attached, and everything about your mind will be the Liberian map and the flag. So if you call it the all Liberian, whatever, it will be all Liberian. It's for all Liberian. Because we want to be sure that this will improve, projects across the country. We're going to do things like community cleanups, youth training programs, agriculture support initiatives, small business monitoring and mentoring, and startup projects. We'll recruit credible candidates. And when we say candidates, we're not just talking about the man at the top. Everyone that will go into critical positions will be recruited, will be vetted, will be tried. Let me put it that way. Will be tried and accepted by the hierarchy to make sure that we're making the best out of it. And whether we put that person on in a town hall so that they can be engaged with the local community, to make sure that The people are satisfied with what they're seeing and the character and what they're about. But something has to be done because voters will evaluate. Yes, we should give them the opportunity. The diaspora political party will have respected educators, respected community leaders, business professionals, civil servants with good reputations, proven youth leaders now in this country. There's a lot of young people here obtaining their bachelor's, master's, and also doctorate degrees, way under 25. Look at that kind of contribution. It'll be like the 400 years of the slaves in Egypt and say that it's time for us to go. That time is now. That time is now. That many Liberians with the professional acumen, with the professional abilities, with the resources and stuff should begin to be a part of the rebuilding process of that country. We can't continue to sit on the sideline and be considered Decembrists. We have to use the diaspora strength wisely. Our comparative example is not only money, but we have professional expertise. We have international networks. We have investment opportunities, technical knowledge, experience in administration, whether public, non-profit, government, and businesses. Many Liberians in the diaspora have done extremely well for themselves. And when you talk to some Liberians, all they want is to see good for Liberia. They want to go back home so bad to contribute to the country. So if we cannot be invited in a way that an invitation should be given, then we must formulate ourselves and make that declaration that we're here to contest. That we're here to contest. Again, the fact's there. The people who become leaders in the country run to the diaspora for help, for support. So if I'm going to give you money to fight me back, then why don't I take my money, put it together, and fight you? Because we have the money. We have the professional expertise. We have the international networks. We have the investment opportunities. We have technical knowledge, experience in public and private administration and in businesses. This movement can come together and bring a lot to Liberia. Because the very people who are in government and past and present, they go there with nothing. And they steal. They steal from the people. They get rich overnight. I'm not saying that every diaspora Liberian is doing well, but in the majority, the discipline to work, the discipline to pay your bills, the discipline to aspire to be something with the kinds of opportunities, yes. So yes, we'll need local alliances, we'll need legislative partnerships, we'll need community-based coalitions and issue-based cooperation. We'll need these things for us to be able to succeed. But there is a need for a diaspora, whether a political party, whether a movement, to be a force in this 2029 coming up. We need to be a force. Because all we're hearing, rescue, rescue, rescue. Now, the opposition say they want to rescue Liberia again. I guess the first ventilator they put the country on, it looked at that one, it's from China or a substandard. So the opposition say they bought a new ventilator. That's what they want to put the country on again. So they want to rescue the country from the rescue mission. So I'm imploring Liberians in the diaspora to come together so that we can rescue the country from the two rescuers. We can do this. We have the resources, the expertise, and everything. It's just a matter of coming together. We can do this. I know some of you watching, you're saying he's an idiot. I know some of you watching and saying, what this guy is talking about. But it's the same thing. Many of the political institutions that are in the country right now, they were formulated from this very diaspora. Everything that happens in that country starts here. You don't see political party being formed. The CDC was formulated right here in America. The ANC, which became the alternative to the CDC, that is why they still consider a Congress, originated here. So many of the political institutions. So I'm not saying something that is new, but what I'm saying that we need to take charge of our country's destiny. Because while it's true that we made some support, we've tried to give help here and there, these people have failed us. And it's about time that we come together, put our resources together to make the difference. Welcome to the Volcano Shelton show. If you just joined me, this evening we're looking at should diaspora Liberians form a political party to compete in the 2029 elections, and what should this potential diaspora political party do beginning now to have a positive chance in 2029? These are the things I'm talking about. Don't overlook this conversation. It's very important. Our destiny hinged on it. Our country's future hinged on it. The Volcano Shelton show is here on Thursday, every Thursday, once a week, and its sister show, The Issues Room, is also once a week on Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please follow us, love us, like us on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. We appreciate your viewership. We appreciate your time, because we know there are competing priorities. Many other organizations are out there, talk shows, platforms, and other things happening. And if you found the time to join us here, we appreciate it. And we want to say thank you, and just continue to share our page, encourage others to follow. Thank you. So, part of this whole momentum is to also seek legislative success. It's not just the presidency, but this diaspora movement can seek legislative, support, meaning we can find space in the legislature. We can put up representative candidates, and we can put up senatorial candidates. We can do that. Because many of the time you see some of the people in the legislature, they're not very educated to the point that they're able to do anything. They're just there to occupy space, collect a big fat salary and amenities, and call it a day, and a lot of corruption. Hence change envelopes and stuff. That's all they're there for. They're not making the country any better. Many of these institutions are run like a soccer team that, guys just come together, an old-timer soccer team, put it that way, with no purpose. You just say, we come exercise. That's how they run some of these institutions in the country. And the legislature is of no exception. So we need new breed lawmakers. Intelligent, smart people learned who can impact that branch of government. And the diaspora can do that, can contribute immensely in that direction. So we want to win some representative seats. We want to win some Senate seats. And then we want to build influential political conglomerations. Many successful political movements establish themselves in the legislature before becoming presidential contenders. So if even 2029 we don't make a great impact in the presidential elections, the fact that we can win some seats, that puts that diaspora party in the conversation, in the discourse. Because whoever in the executive branch will have to fear. That it's not status quo. It's not the same old legislature where you can buy everyone for 30 pieces of silver and do as you please. There will be people who will stand for something. Who will stand for something, who will say no to power. Because we're separate branches of government. But many of the guys in the house, they don't have it. So they'll settle for mediocrity. They'll settle for little handouts. They'll settle for bribes. And that is why many things don't happen good for the country and the people. So what will give us a best chance if we formulated a diaspora political party before 2029? There are three things here. It gives us a permanent presence in Liberia. A permanent presence in Liberia. Our name will become household name. It will resonate. It will give us strong county level organizations if we lay this foundation that I'm talking about. And a reputation for solving problems rather than simply criticizing others. Because we will be a part of the discourse, will help to make, the situation better than worse. We speak for the country's, image. We'll be closer to what is happening in the country. If such a movement is started now in 2026 and work consistently for 3 years, it could become a meaningful force in Liberian politics. Whether it could win the presidency, we don't know yet. It will depend on many factors. Agreed, including performance of the incumbent government, the strength of the opposition parties, like we're seeing right now, the quality of candidates, and its ability to build broad-based national support. Anything is possible in Liberian politics. If it were not so, certain people wouldn't have been elected to electable positions. I'm being honest with you. Anything is possible. That's the gullibility of our voters. But in as much as there are gullible people, there are smart people, while they may be in the minority, but that's the base we want to tap in as diaspora Liberians. And if we can drive that base, then we can get down to the nitty-gritty of the inexperienced and illiterate voters. People just want to go back home and make a meaningful contribution. Many diaspora Liberians have lived enough good life. They're not coming over there to make a mess. Most of the guys in government are the local guys who have not seen, have not felt, have not tasted, have not smelled the good life. So by the time they get there, you can see the changes in their livelihood. Everything changed overnight. They don't even know how to maintain their body. They go out of character. So there is a need for the diaspora to be fully involved rather than just remittances, rather than being bogged down by the people there all day bothering you, calling you. It is time that you take that resources, go there, put together something meaningful so that we can be a part of the discourse and the conversation to usher in the right leadership. We can give the financial support, but we must also give other support. We can dignify the country. We can dignify the country. So there's a lot we have to do. I know it's a tough feat to persuade the common voters in Liberia because of the bad apples that have gone ahead. Many of the so-called Liberians who've gone to Liberia and made a mess, who are hustlers on both sides. But again, I stand firm that they are very good Liberians, very capable Liberians, who can make a difference rather than deal with the same people around here every day and then taking the country anywhere. I mean, it just bothers me when I hear, oh, we're coming back to take the country, we're coming back to rescue the country, we're coming back to do this. What rescue? You couldn't rescue for 12 years prior. You couldn't rescue for 6 years. Now you coming to rescue again? Because at the end of the day, Boakai leaves in 2029, 2030, you'll come back. It's going to be the same nonsense. It's about time. Because it appears that the locals can't do it. So that is why we need a diaspora political institution that can come to Liberia and be a part. If our money is good for remittances, if our projects and supports we send into Liberia is good for the country, if all other things that we contribute to Liberia is good, then we should also be able to contribute our political experiences and contribution, our professional expertise, our business acumen. Yes, we should be able to do that. Joan Richardson says here, Liberia are for Liberians. If we need their support, they too should be a part. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, this is the question. Should diaspora Liberians form a political party to compete in 2029 elections? Should we? And what should that political party, potential party, do beginning now? And these are the things that I'm covering. I've covered a lot of them. So, yes, a diaspora-led political party will likely have a better chance if it starts now and spends the next 3 years building genuine grassroots relationships, but success will still be far from guaranteed. Granted, accepted. But if my money is good to contribute in remittances, then my service, my love for country should not be challenged, should not be questioned. Isn't that fair? If diaspora Liberians' monies, their resources are good for the country, then when it comes down to politics, don't challenge or don't question my love for my country. Don't question my service for my country. Don't come and say, oh, you're from America, you ain't know what we're going through. Oh, I know what you're going through, but when I send you money, you run into Western Union and send wave? You don't know I don't know what you're going through? When we can't sleep at night, all day soon in the morning, soon as you turn your phone on, the first thing, please help me. So I know what you're going through. And I can't continue sending you money. So we want to come. This idea is to formulate a political institution that can come and change the trajectory. Make the country better so that you don't become dependent and a beggar. So that you can have the kinds of jobs to do. So we can put the system in place on trust and accountability. That's the reason, that's the purpose. So don't always see diaspora Liberians as enemies, no, or strangers. We were just privileged, blessed with the opportunity given by God to remove some of us, to make us better, because God knows the heart. And now that many of us are in a position to want to return, we must be embraced. We must be embraced. There's nothing here about the locals and the indigenous and the international and the diaspora. We should be embraced. Many of us have taken roots in that country. Many have taken roots in the country. So it's about time. Even though the document says here, the research I did says that looking at Liberia's political history, parties that develop strong county structures, youth organizations, women's wing, and continuous community engagement tend to perform better than those that appear during election season. And that's not what we want. We want to become solidified, as I said. If we take these next 3 years and move in and begin to put the structure in place, if even we contest the presidency and don't get anywhere far, but we can win some seats within the upper and lower houses, that's a good start. Because we'll be able to say no to power. We'll be able to say no to bribes. We'll be able to expose many of the malfeasance within the executive branch and the judiciary branch, and even within the very legislative branch. Because many of those who will be there will not be there for the wealth, for the handouts. We can make sure that those who are representing are already well off, capable, not to depend on handouts and government gifts and what you call concessionaries gifts. That's what killing our country. That's why we can't go anywhere far, because a few people continue to take personally what could be a greater portion for the country. And we get nowhere. I'm telling you people now. I'm telling you now, we will get nowhere. I've seen the writing on the wall for time immemorial. Our civil war did not do us any good. And the cessation of the civil war bringing us back into a normalcy since 2005 has done little, but enough could have been done by this time. Because we've seen it with other people in other countries. I always say that when people resolve to change their destiny, they can do it. And what I find in Liberia, even if the president means well for the people and the country, the people he puts around him because of friendship, because of patronage, because of cronyism, because of nepotism, are the very people that destroy the vision. And that is why it's difficult. So as a result, we need people who are able, who can fend for themselves, who can fend for themselves, who will not take bribe because they're struggling, who are not living in one bedroom, and then he ran as representative. Now we see him building 2-3 houses, then he buying house across the world and carrying on. Because anyone who comes from poverty through this means to get rich overnight is not a help to any society. When people come from poverty and struggle, get educated, do business, do whatever to make the money, they wouldn't take from the poor man like that. Because they've been there, they know what it means to be poor, and they know what it means to be successful through your hard work and labor. Many of the folks who come to prominence in Liberia didn't get to where they are through the wealth they've gained overnight, through hard work and labor. They've gotten there through corruptible means. And that is why they don't want to let go. Because they've not developed the spine to work and to grow and to accomplish. They're aligned with thievery, with criminals who themselves continue to steal from the people. That is why you see some of these guys that jump parties here and there. They're unstable because they don't know how to honestly work They don't. So that is why formulating something from the diaspora would be a great help to increase and push our country forward. We've done a lot for that country. We've done a lot. The most important question here is Liberians being able to receive this idea, whether internationally or locally. Because if we sit by idly and think that Liberia is going to be the best nation with CDC and Unity Party, you're on your own. I repeat myself before I leave you. If you, Liberians, think that Liberia is going to be any better with CDC and Unity Party, you're on your own. You're on your own. Because honestly, I know for a fact, if these two political institutions meant well for that country since 2005, come on. With all the resources we have, we hear the stories of our resources being taken at night in metric tons of amounts. People everywhere digging in our country. Everything just happening bad every day. Somebody being brave to take 196 a package of drugs in the tune of 19 million or more. People saying 50 million. Another group brought $100 million worth of drugs. They walk under the Supreme Court scot-free. And these are things happening between these two political institutions. You think this country is going to go anywhere? You really think so? We need an alternative. We need somebody who means well. And even if incumbent President Volcano meant well, his age is a factor for his ability. And I'm saying this honestly. Needless to say that people are contemplating taking him back in 2029. Is this all we can settle for? CDC and Unity Party of 6 million people put their destiny and their lives in two political institutions that want to throw us around like hot potato? For real? You Liberians listening to me tonight, for real? Has your life changed any better since 2005? 12 years of Ellie? 6 years of Weah? Even with the little that Bwaga is doing is still not sufficient? And then 2029 is coming, the same two political parties scrambling. One is and trying to rescue from the rescuer. Are we really serious that this is what we're going to go to in 2029? Go with rather in 2029? And expect this country to go anywhere? Well, that's all I can say. We have an opportunity to become that wedge. Those of us in the diaspora who love our country, who our contemplation is to return to retire, we can still make a difference by coming together, putting a political movement together, go over there, create a broad-based grassroots politics, settle across the counties, do community projects, open up opportunities, use our expertise, experiences, resources, and begin to transform the country outside of the presidency. We can begin that process now, and then when it comes time for 2029, at least if we don't win the presidency, fine, but we'll win some seats in the legislature. We can have a voice, and maybe after 2030 to 2036, we may have a chance. Because it sounds like we're going to have to deal with CDC and UP for a long time. Because I don't think any independent candidate at this point stands a chance. I don't see it. And the political parties I've seen around the country, y'all forget it, man. Y'all forget it. Because if you put all the political parties together and to follow CDC, what do you have? A coalition that will come back and do the same nonsense in 6 years. And if the political parties decide to split, some follow UP and some follow CDC, and UP wins, that is the same thing. So, hopefully, many of you heard me. If you dislike what I said, I'm fine with it. It's my position. It's my opinion. I love my country. I think about it every day. I breathe it. I sleep it. I wake up with it on mine. And I pray that it be a better place for the long run. I look forward to being there and being able to stay there. Be able to trust the healthcare sector. That I don't have to run to any neighboring countries when I get sick. I want to be there and trust the judiciary system. That if somebody pick on me, I can go to the law and the law takes its course. I want to be there and trust the security sector. That I can go to bed at night and feel safe. I want to be there and trust the educational sector. That if I send my kids, grandkids to school, they will learn. I want to be there and trust the economy. That it will be opened up and everyone will have a fair share to contribute and enjoy the benefits of our resources. That is my message tonight. I want to thank you for joining me here tonight on the Volcano Shelton Show. Hope you had a splendid time. We'll be back here on next Thursday, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But next Tuesday, hopefully Alfonso and myself will be in the issues room. And we hope that you will join us then. We'll come in with another thought-provoking conversation. Until then, all of you who tune in here tonight, I say thank you for joining me. We'll be back here. Continue to watch the World Cup. Africa is not doing so well, but it's not bad. I think 1 or 2 teams going to the second round. Let's continue to advocate for, our African teams, and let's just cheer them. And also, I also have to support the American team because come on now, all right. But again, I just say thank you to all of you who joined me here tonight. Have a good night.